দর্শক আমন্ত্রণ জানাচ্ছি চ্যানেল 24 ও IOM এর যৌথ উদ্যোগে বিশেষ অনুষ্ঠান অভিবাসন ও নিয়োগে। এই অনুষ্ঠানে আমরা অভিবাসন এবং নৈতিক নিয়োগ প্রক্রিয়ার সাথে যা যা জড়িত সবকিছু আলোচনা করব। সেই আলোচনার জন্য আমাদের সাথে দুজন বিশেষ অতিথি আছেন। আমাদের সাথে আছেন প্রবাসী কল্যাণ মন্ত্রণালয়ের অতিরিক্ত সচিব ডক্টর আহমেদ মনিরুসালেহীন, আপনাকে স্বাগত জানাচ্ছি। আছেন ঢাকার IOM এর চিফ অফ মিশন গিওগ্রি গিগাউরে। ওয়েলকাম টু দি শো। Before we going to the discussion, we're going to watch a story that describes how labor suffers because of not having an ethical recruitment. Then we'll come back to the show. দর্শক আমরা স্টোরিটি দেখে আসি, তারপর আমরা মূল আলোচনায় ফিরবো।
দুবাইতে সবকিছু ভালো ছিল, এখানে 3.5 বছর থাকার পর প্রজেক্ট শেষ হয়ে গেছে, পরে দেশে পাঠিয়ে দিয়েছি।
দুবাইয়ে প্রথমবারের অভিজ্ঞতা থেকে দ্বিতীয়বার ওমানে কাজ করতে গিয়েছিলেন মুন্সিগঞ্জের শিবপুরের তুহিন কবির। কিন্তু বিধিবাম অতীতের দুবাইয়ের সুখকর অভিজ্ঞতার সাথে তো মিল নেই, বরং প্রতি পদে পদে বঞ্চনার শিকার হন তিনি।
চুক্তি অনুযায়ী থাকা খাওয়া কোনো কিছুই ছিল না, বেতন ছিল না। বলছে ইলেকট্রিক্যাল কাজ নিয়ে আমাকে মেশনের কাজ করাইছে, মেশনের কাজ সহ অন্যান্য এই ইলেকট্রিক, প্লাম্বিং, মেশন, টাইলস সবগুলো হেল্পারি করতে হয়েছে। সিমেন্ট টানতে হয়েছে, ইট টানতে হয়েছে, রমেল বানাইতে হয়েছে। বেতন দিত 3 মাস 4 মাস পরে পরে।
ফ্যামিলি সবাই বলছি আইসা পড়ো, কিন্তু আসারও কোনো সুযোগ নাই। টিকিট কাটতে হইব, বেতন না পেলে টিকিট কাটবো কীভাবে? ঋণের বোঝায় টেনশনে আরও বলতেছে না, ঋণ পরিশোধ করে পরে দেশে আসবো।
শুধু তুহিন কবির নয়, যারাই বিদেশে কাজ করতে গিয়েছেন প্রায় সবারই নিয়োগ নিয়ে জটিলতার মুখে পড়তে হয়েছে। বিশেষজ্ঞরা বলছেন ভারত, ইন্দোনেশিয়া, ফিলিপিনের চেয়ে বাংলাদেশি শ্রমিক নিয়োগে খরচ হয় 3 থেকে 4 গুণ বেশি।
বাংলাদেশ থেকে বিদেশে কাজ নিয়ে যাওয়ার খরচ পৃথিবীর মধ্যে সবচেয়ে বেশি এবং তার আয় পৃথিবীর মধ্যে সবচেয়ে কম। ভিসা কেনা বেচা যে আমাদের হয়, মানে এখানে আসার আগেই কিন্তু সৌদি আরব বা কাতার থেকে ভিসাটা কেনা বেচা হয়ে গেছে, যে কারণে একজন ভারতীয় বা শ্রীলঙ্কান যেখানে যাচ্ছেন হয়তো 50 বা 60 হাজার টাকা, সেখানে একজন বাংলাদেশি 3.5, 4, 5, 6 লাখ, 7 লাখ, 10 লাখ টাকা পর্যন্ত যাচ্ছে।
2013 যে অভিবাসন আইন, সেখানে একটু বিবেচনা করা যে ঠিক আছে, আমি যদি মনে করি যে দালালকে আমি একটা রেজিস্ট্রেশনের আওতায় আনবো না, কিন্তু তাদেরকে আমরা কি করে নিয়ন্ত্রণ করব, নিয়ন্ত্রণের একটা প্রক্রিয়া তো নিশ্চিত করতে হবে। না হলে যেটা হচ্ছে যে মানুষ কিন্তু ওই দালালের কাছে তখন চলে যাবে যে ঠিক আছে সরকারি জায়গাটা আমি পুরো আস্থা পাচ্ছি না, ঠিক আছে আমার হাতের কাছে যে আছে তার কাছে চলে যায়।
বিদেশে কাজ করতে যাওয়া কর্মীদের নৈতিক নিয়োগ নিয়ে কাজ করছে আন্তর্জাতিক অভিবাসন সংস্থা। এরই মধ্যে ঢাকার দুটো রিক্রুটিং এজেন্সির সাথে শুরু করেছে পাইলট প্রকল্প।
গ্রিভেন্স মেকানিজমটা যে কার্যকর তাদের জন্য, কোনো ইন্ডাস্ট্রি সেটআপে সে যে একটা জায়গায় গিয়ে সেফলি কোনো কথা সে একটা কমপ্লেন করতে পারবে, ওই জায়গাটা কিন্তু আমাদের জন্য অনেকটাই মিসিং, ওই কম্পোনেন্টটা। ওইটাও আমরা প্রাইভেট সেক্টরদের সাথে, আমরা ব্র্যান্ডসদের সাথে আমরা কাজ করছি, যেখানে আমরা দেখতে চাচ্ছি যে কিভাবে করে এই গ্রিভেন্স মেকানিজমটাকে সাথে করে এনে আমরা মাইগ্রেন্ট ওয়ার্কারদের ভয়েসটাকে সামনে আনতে পারি।
অভিবাসন খাত সংশ্লিষ্টদের মতে শুধু সরকার রিক্রুটিং এজেন্সি কিংবা অন্যান্য সংস্থা কিংবা বেসরকারি সংস্থার একার পক্ষে সম্ভব নয় এই দুর্দশার চিত্র বদলানো। এজন্য যারা বিদেশে যেতে চান তাদের সচেতন হতে হবে।
100% হয়েছে বা 90%
মোর্শেদ হাসিব, চ্যানেল 24, ঢাকা। So we are watching the news and it's about how one particular labor had a good time in Dubai, 3.5 years. All the things he been given, his salary from all the recruitment policies he agreed to before he leaves for that. But when he goes to Oman, it breaks everything from the local broker to the recruitment agency and the place he went to. I really come to Mr. Ahmed Monirusaleihin that why, of course, Ministry is working a lot to stop this crisis. But what are the findings that you have why these things are happening? Is it just because the labor himself or herself is not concerned about everything, or there is some mismanagement?
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to just convey my thanks for this opportunity of sharing some information as well as some queries that you might have regarding overseas recruitment in Bangladesh. And as you know that for Bangladesh overseas recruitment is so important. We have got more than 11 million people working abroad in as many as 160 or 170, around 170 countries. But the story that you have shown is one of the examples that everything is not going right. There are some loopholes, there are some challenges. And you have asked me a question that why it is so happening, who is responsible for this kind of anomalies or some what should I say, the weaknesses or challenges in the whole course of migration.
Right.
So I think the first thing that is already mentioned by one of the persons on the video that you have shown, that awareness. I think this is an area which has not been properly addressed, that the people who are going abroad are not making informed decision. They are sometimes running after some fake information, fake dreams, and those things are not based on facts. That's why they are being cheated, they are becoming disillusioned as soon as they go abroad, because you have seen that there is a mismatch between what he was promised and what he was given.
Right. Excellent.
That the contract. So this is something that we need to address. And as far as the government initiatives are concerned, what we can tell you that the government has taken, making people aware, the number one agenda.
Okay.
That is, you must make informed decision. That's why the ministry, the Expatriate Welfare and Overseas Welfare Ministry, has undertaken a countrywide campaign to make people aware. And seminars, symposium, workshops, and this kind of discussions are being held throughout the country at different levels, where local representatives, civil society members, bureaucrats, and other stakeholders are taking part. The ultimate purpose of everything is to make people aware that whatever you do, whatever decision you take, it must be based on facts. It must, you must have an informed decision, number one. And number two is ethical recruitment. I think as far as ethical recruitment is concerned, the responsibility must be, it's a shared responsibility. And I would like to agree with the person who said that it is not the government alone who can do something and make things fair. So, you know that in the whole process of migration, there are a host of recruiting agents.
Right.
And we are trying to make sure that they comply with the local rules and regulations. We have got the legal framework for ensuring ethical recruitment. So in the first place, we want to make sure that they comply with the local legislation, local requirements. At the same time, they need to comply with international standards. And as you know, that International Organization for Migration is doing a very commendable job, and they have come up with what we call IRIS,
Right.
International Recruitment Integrity System. So we are trying to make people comply with the principles of IRIS. And if we can do that, and coupled with this, if we can enhance our enforcement and monitoring mechanism, I think things will improve. And I think that this is a continuous process, and it's a continuous process of improvement.
Right. Gigi, so as Mr. Salehin said, the government is trying a lot of things. You've been working with the labor from the ground in different countries. You've been working with the recruiting agencies here, and obviously you're listening to all these people. So what's your observation and what's your findings?
Well, one thing is for sure. So it's very important to recognize, carrying on the theme that my colleague has mentioned, this is not just about what is the government doing, what is the migrant doing. Apart from the recruitment agencies, we have to deal with employers, and let's not forget also very important actors like the media. They all have a role to play in this process. So we have to work with each partner, or rather support the government in working with each partner, to make sure that everyone is pulling in the same direction. Specifically with the employers, it's very important that we find a market-based solution. We must find a way where it's in the interest of the company, when they make profit from making sure that their recruitment process is transparent and ethical.
Right. So coming back to you, Mr. Salehin, that once again, that whatever the reason is, the problem or the blame goes to the definitely government. Government is not looking after the whatever you do. Even if you're doing good things, that's the blame goes to you once again. But how you are monitoring the recruiting agencies, because they are trying to make profit. When we were doing this particular story and other stories, they're trying to sell the visas, and there are like 2-3 layers of things way that they sell the visa from Saudi Arabia or from Middle East or from any other country. People get some, say for example, 100 visa, they make it like 200 or 300. They ask for other people how much you can buy, at what cost. Basis on that, the broker goes to house, and they try to show the bad dreams, which is not reality. It's not true. So how really is it possible for the government as well that to go to door and say, don't trust these brokers? Or even if you trust them,
Yes.
that's the blame, the responsibility goes on your shoulder.
Yes. Yes, I think it is not possible for the government to go door to door, but I think the solution is there. Having said that, the government is not going to individually address a problem going door to door. What is important is to build a system, to institutionalize the whole system. Like as one of the persons on the video tell that, what is it, that bringing the middlemen within certain accountability framework. You know that the government has already taken an initiative how we can bring the invisible middlemen who are so omnipresent throughout the whole system of recruitment in Bangladesh. So government is trying to do that. Number two is the cost of migration. I think the biggest challenge in the whole regime in Bangladesh overseas migration is the cost of migration, and it is quite recognized by both the government as well as other stakeholders. So the government has taken an initiative that nobody is allowed to take more than what is reasonable. The government has already determined for as many as 16 countries the maximum limit of cost that a worker may have to pay. So we have got our mobile courts, they are working throughout the country. We have got a vigilant task force. In addition to all these ongoing systems, ongoing activities, we are open to any suggestions. I mean, a person who is aggrieved, who has been cheated, whether here or abroad, he can make a complaint to us, she can make a complaint to us, and on the basis of the complaint, we can just institute an investigation to see whether there is any wrongdoing. And if the person is found, if an agent is found guilty, if he is a fraudulent agent or he is found to be delinquent, then action will be taken as per the law of 2013. And just for your information as well as for the information of our respected viewers, we would like to tell that in the meantime we have cancelled, we have suspended the licenses of 162 agencies.
Okay, that's good.
Yes, and this is to show that we have zero tolerance about any wrongdoing so far as the recruitment is concerned, because it is our mandate, it is the mandate of international organizations like IOM and ILO to ensure that the recruitment is ethical, decent, safe and regular.
Right. Yugri, when you and your colleagues go to the field and try to aware the labor or their families, what do you heard from them? That why are they so desperate to go different countries for work? And how do you make them aware that if you go, this will happen, you should read your recruitment paper, what are the terms and conditions? So, and what is your findings?
Yeah, so there is a number of findings that we come across. So we generally like to tell one story of one migrant and one problem and one solution. It's not like that. It's much more complicated. Right. Remember, we have young migrants, we have male migrants, we have female migrants, we have older migrants. They all have different priorities. I'll give you an example. Sure. An older female migrant I was speaking to who had a failed experience, and I asked her, what would you need to have not to take this risk and take this job abroad that was promised to you? He said, well, if I had a job here, I wouldn't go. Simple. Let's find a job for her, she will stay. Then I was speaking to a young guy, and I was hoping he will say the same thing, because then we can find a solution, we can create a job. But he was saying, actually, once I start thinking about going abroad, it's all I can think about. So even if he had a job, he would have gone. So it's a different approach. Here we make sure that he does go abroad but does it in a legal way. In this case, we can even prevent it from happening in the first place. So let's have a complex analysis and let's have a more comprehensive approach to these issues. But I can tell you one thing for sure, what is not enough. It is not enough to simply say it's dangerous, don't go. It will not work.
Right, definitely not, definitely. How you are working with the global companies to convince them to have a proper recruitment? Because I guess it's part of both of you. It depends both on you that how you convince them and how you're doing, especially how you're involving more formal sector rather than informal sector. Because I think IOM is doing a lot of things on that, right?
Absolutely. We have a number of initiatives. One is IRIS that my colleague has already mentioned. Another one is CREST that also deals with the private sector. And it's all about, remember, we're dealing with, some of the companies we're dealing with are global giants. So that means they have factories all over the world. Like if you take a company that produces boots, so you will see that the sole of the boot is made in one country, in one factory. The shoelaces are made in another. It's packaged in another country and then it arrives, for example, to US. And there's so many subsidiary companies, they may not even know that 5 layers down, part of their product is produced by a factory that's abusing rights. So what we want to do is say, hey, let's be transparent and find exactly what is happening, how your product is coming together, and what's most important for us, how are the workers treated to produce your product.
Right. And how the government is trying to encourage the people who are flying as labor for the formal sector.
Yes, you are talking about a very important issue because we know that migration or overseas recruitment is a multifaceted and multi-sectoral phenomenon. A number of actors, stakeholders are involved with the whole process. So just doing something at one end is not going to solve the problem.
Right.
We'll have to do, as our very distinguished colleague Gigi said, that it has to be a concerted, systematic, collaborative effort. As far as the role of the employers, how they are treating their workers, this is very important. And you know that most of the labor receiving countries, what should I say, that some of the ILO conventions that we have ratified, they have not ratified.
Yes, true.
Okay, so
True.
this is a very important issue. So now the question is how the government is going to deal with this problem. What we do that, you know that in most of the, with most of the labor receiving countries, we have got MOUs or bilateral agreement, BLA, memorandum of understanding, and some other agreement. So whenever there is an opportunity for us to have some negotiation, we sit for joint working group meeting, we sit for joint technical committee meeting. We want to raise this issue that the reality has to be recognized in the first place. The reality like the existence of visa trading.
Exactly.
Okay, so we want to make sure that our counterparts are aware of this unethical practice in the first place. So this is what we do. So there are two things, one is demand side and one is supply side. And sometimes it is blamed that the pressure is from our side. Our people would like to pay. I mean, the recruiters are not in a position to say, no, we are not going to pay any visa, any fee for visa. This is, I mean, the supply side pressure. People are interested in paying. And the question is whether the demand side will accept or deny. So recently there are some initiatives in different countries that they would like to see that the cost of migration is zero. There is a no cost migration. So our ministry, our honorable minister, our respected secretary, and all of us are really agreeable to this proposition that we would like to see that cost of migration is zero. So if that is the thing, then there will be employers pay model in practice. Our people, our aspiring workers won't have to pay a significant amount of migration cost. So the efforts are on, and just we are trying to have it give some real benefits.
That's a quite tough job because there are a lot of people involved in this sector and they're making a lot of profit out of this thing. I mean, is it possible?
Yes, I think nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible, and just I would like to put emphasis on the fact that I started with, that I began with. I think Gigi will agree with me that information, awareness, and the role that media can play. I mean, I think I have been working in the ministry for about a couple of years now, but before joining this ministry, I didn't have a very clear idea about what is happening in this regime. So it is more or less the same for many others who are not inside this system. That is to say that we have not been able to yet mainstream migration as a very important, very booming source of employment, remittance, and many other economic activities. So the media can play a role, and the recruitment agents will have to be more responsible, more ethical, more pro people. And I think if we work together with the partnership of our international development agents and civil society, anything is possible.
Are you hopeful like him?
Absolutely, it's my job to be optimistic. But also, yeah, it's a process, and it's an evolution, and we're working from many different directions. Information is absolutely vital, and again, it's not just about what they shouldn't do; it's about what they should do. So identifying the problem and providing the solution. Don't believe the dalal, believe the demo office, and so on and so on. So we're talking about millions of migrants, millions of people. How can you have the government speaking to 10 million migrants that are working abroad? But what you can do is to get other people to do it. So it has to be a concerted effort, and it has to translate to the village level. That's where it begins. You get the first step right, 90% of other problems will be resolved.
Exactly. On that note, we'll go for a break. We'll come back and discuss more. দর্শক, আলোচনার পর্যায়ে একটা বিরতি নিচ্ছি, সাথে থাকুন, ফিরছি একটু পর। আমন্ত্রণ আরও একবার অভিবাসন নৈতিক নিয়োগের আজকের অনুষ্ঠানে। আমরা এই অনুষ্ঠান আয়োজন করেছি চ্যানেল 24 এবং IOM এর যৌথ উদ্যোগে। আমাদের সাথে যে অতিথি আছে তার সাথে আপনাদের আরও একবার পরিচয় করে দিতে চাই। আমার ডান পাশে আছেন ডক্টর আহমেদ মঞ্জুর সালিহিন, প্রবাসী কল্যাণ মন্ত্রণালয়ের অতিরিক্ত সচিব, এবং আমার সাথে আছেন গিয়োগ্রি গিগাউরি, চিফ অফ মিশন বাংলাদেশ। ওয়েলকাম টু দ্য শো ওয়ান্স এগেন। সো উই হ্যাড লট অফ ডিসকাশনস. I got one particular question in mind that I really want to ask you both. Why the cost of migration is 2, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times higher than Indonesia, Philippines, Sri Lanka, Nepal, or any other countries, especially in the Middle East?
Okay, I think the question has to some extent been addressed already in the way that there are different channels why the cost goes up. Number one, that the aspiring migrant is cheated. I mean, there is always on the part of some quarters who are not ethical, who are not really honest, lacking integrity, they would like to cheat others. So this is one thing. And another something that an agent cannot avoid, and we have already mentioned the question of visa trading. So this is something to be free, a visa. But if you have to pay an amount for getting a visa from your employer, if you are, then this burden is usually supposed to be shifted over to an aspiring worker. And I think the profit-making attitude of our recruiting agents. But what is more crucial, I think Gigi will agree from their experience. They have been working in the different levels of the society as far as ensuring ethical recruitment, that the presence of invisible middlemen or dalals.
Exactly.
So when you have got so many layers in the whole system of recruitment, so there is a government authorized recruiting agent, but there are a lot of sub-agents, sub-agents who are unfortunately omnipresent, who are everywhere, but who are not accountable to anybody. So this is, I think these are the reasons. But I would like to, I'm taking a bit more time. Just let me tell you that what makes the people vulnerable? That is, if you are skilled, most of the people going from Bangladesh unfortunately are not skilled.
right,
They are
so,
either unskilled or semi-skilled. So with the increase of his skill level, the vulnerability gets reduced. I mean, he doesn't have to pay that much of money. But when you are unskilled, then there is every possibility that your cost of migration would be higher, and you will be subjected to a lot of different vulnerabilities. So this is one thing that if we can make our people more skilled, I think many of the ills, many of the problems that we have been plagued with, the system is plagued with, can be reduced.
Right, do you agree? Is it possible to bring these dalal or brokers into any semi-official system so that whatever they are doing or how they are earning money can be, they are responsible? I mean, they will put in a framework so that, you know, even they are pay, say for example, even if we count them as service provider, they are helping you to fill up the passport application form or visa application form or any things, they will be paid. Is that possible? And what about the experience of other countries? Do they have any system like that?
Well, again, intermediary is a neutral term. It's neither bad or good. It depends on what type of services they're providing and what are their intentions. There are two ways to go about addressing the system. You can either bring them into the formal system or try to get them out altogether.
What's the best suggestion, to bring them in or get them out?
This is the government decision.
Okay.
But one thing that we would recommend is, okay, let's look at what works and what doesn't work, right?
Okay.
So if the dalal system is to be abolished altogether, what will be offered instead? So one thing is to identify the problem. Another thing is how to resolve it by always providing alternatives. Because you're not going to get rid of dalals by just signing one document. There are a lot of dalals operating right now in Bangladesh. By the way, not all of them are bad. Some of them definitely are. So the way, but if you want to bring the cost of the migration down, as Salim Bhai said, it's simple economics. The more steps there are between the worker and the employer abroad, the higher the cost. And let's not forget that migrants go into serious debt before they travel abroad. So if they're not able to recuperate, if they're not able to get their money back, and sometimes it takes years to pay off the debt, and they return prematurely, they are even poorer than before they started.
Exactly. And that's why they need to have some skills. How IOM is helping or government or making the laborers to become more skilled, and any project you have?
Absolutely. So skill development is not only a priority of the government, and the Honorable Minister and the Prime Minister have spoken about this.
Right.
It is certainly a priority for us. It's a priority for the UN Migration Network. It is an explicit objective of the Global Compact for Migration. So this is not just about Bangladesh. For all labor migrant, skill development is vital. And according to the recent study we did, we can confirm that the higher the level of skill, the more they earn, the more they save, and the more they send back. So it's win-win-win. There's no way around this. We have to focus and invest more in skills of labor migrants.
There are often some complaint against BMET that they are also part of this unethical recruitment because they have the power to manipulate the data system, especially, say for example, the underage laborers when informal sector, especially in the female laborers conditions, they try to do this thing. How Ministry is looking at these people who are trying to, profit?
Another very relevant question. I think I would like to reiterate what our Honorable Minister has already said, that the zero tolerance. It sounds quite high, but we mean it. Sometimes people say that it is easier said than done, but we want to mean that we have zero tolerance about any wrongdoing, whether it is done by a government official or by any private agent. So, as you have mentioned that there are some allegations against BMET people, and if it is so, and if some people can come up with any concrete evidence, any allegation, the ministry will definitely look into it. So there is no compromise with this stance. And having said that, we can see that we are receiving complaints from different actors through different systems. I mean, we have got an online grievance addressal system.
That's good.
Redressal system, that is GRS. And we have got online mechanism like email and other things that we receive complaints. So as far as I am concerned, we don't receive that kind of complaints against any government official. Most of them are against agencies. And as you have mentioned, the case of underage, yes, we have this kind of examples or this kind of allegations have come to our notice, and we have taken action. And as I mentioned before, that we have taken some actions against some delinquent agents. I think those relates to those underage cases. Number one, the question there is when a person decides to go abroad, he or she should have a passport. So most of the time, BMET gives clearance on the basis of the passport age.
Okay.
But there are some, we could understand that in some sporadic cases, I would say that this is not a normal or general practice. These are quite isolated and sporadic in nature, that it happens that an underage or overage persons which can have the opportunity of going abroad. But when it comes to our notice, we take action. So these are the measures we are taking. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you a few other things about. One thing is skill development. The government of Bangladesh, especially Honorable Prime Minister, has attached very high importance to skill development, and I would like to tell you and to our viewers as well that we have picked up a very important relevant slogan for the Mujib Borsho, that is the Mujib year, which you know is going to begin very soon, and it is in Bangla we said Mujib Borsher Ahwan Daksho hoye bidesh jan. That is to say, Mujib Borsher Ahwan Daksho hoye bidesh jan. That is the way we want to see how important skill development is.
And that's a very simple and straight message. If you're not skilled, don't go abroad.
Yes.
Yeah, and don't spoil your life.
Yeah, yes. So
that's very important.
So the bottom line of what we want to say that for us, quality migration is of essence, is of paramount importance.
And do you agree? That's why we need the private sector, or the giants in different countries, I mean the multinationals. They need to have some, they need to be convinced how IOM is working on that, and especially through IRIS system.
Well, so there's two kind of approaches, there's two ways to come at it. One is to say, look, there are all these ILO conventions, there are these national, international instruments. Ethical recruitment, for example, is one of the objectives of the Global Compact for Migration. So we can come at it from the normative kind of top-down level to the companies, trying to say, look at all these, trying to work on their conscience and say, look, this is very important. You're not just paying these workers, you have a duty of care to these workers. Find out more, do more. And then the other way, which, if I'm honest with you, is much more effective, and say, you are going to make more money if you become more ethical. I'll give you an example.
Sure.
There's one very, I won't say the name, one very famous international coffee company. So what they've started doing is putting up big posters saying how ethical their recruitment is, how their coffee, there's no slave labor, how they monitor their workers collecting coffee in Central America and Africa. Guess what? Their profits have gone up. The consumer wants to buy ethically produced products. So that's what I mean. Market-based solution to this problem is going to be, in the end, the most effective one.
That's really great to know. We are almost about to end the show, but before we end, I'd like to know, it's a vast sector, and whatever it's going on is not unstoppable in all the aspects. But even then, they are bringing huge amount of money, and Bangladesh lives on that. So how really we can work together to really stop these dalals or the brokers to have unethical recruitment? I'd like to hear from Dizzy.
Well, I think one point that I really want to emphasize is enforcement and compliance. So, for example, if you look at any type of violation of law and the psychology of people who violate, it's not how severe the punishment is, it's the likelihood of getting caught and punished that really matters. In other words, if we make sure, if we really crack down and people see that, no, you will get caught, there will be consequences, you will see results.
Right. Do you agree on that?
Okay, yes, very much, very much. I think just having something in the book and not translating them into action is no good. We'll have to enforce what we have. Having said that, I would like to add one important information with you. It relates to the role of middleman intermediaries, how we can reduce or eliminate it. Okay, there is a systematic approach which the government is thinking of. In fact, government has already initiated. We think that there can be a data bank for aspiring migrants.
Okay.
So whoever would like to go abroad will register himself or herself with the data bank, which will be kept with BMET. And when there is a demand from abroad about a potential job, so the person would be recruited from that data bank. I mean, the recruiting agency will be able to do this. In fact, again, I would like to thank International Organization of Migration. They are going to help us in this regard, because we have got the database.
But it seems the recruiting agencies won't have any job to do.
No. They will just. No. I think they will have a lot of things to do still, because they will be getting recruitment orders. Okay, demand letters, as we say, from abroad. Okay.
And then they'll be sorted out.
Okay. They will ask. Just let me give you an example. They will request the BMET that I have got 50 persons recruitment requirement for 50 persons of workers for Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
So I would like to see whether you can deliver a list of, say, 100 workers who are potential, who can be going there. So the BMET will furnish the list, and from that 100, just for example, they will recruit according to their choice. So there will be no role of the middleman or intermediaries.
That's a big digitization thing.
Yes, that is what we are working on, and it's going to happen very soon. Okay. So what does it mean? That if we would like to reduce the role of the middleman, intermediaries or dalal, whatever you call them, but if we cannot, we have to deal with the dalals, because this is a part and parcel of the whole game.
Yep.
Then what I have said and what the ministry holds, that they need to be brought within certain accountability framework. Just not saying that they will be given a legal identity, they will be registered. Even the recruiting agents can bring them within their accountability framework. So something has to be done, and we are working on it.
Then they have to share the profit, but no one doesn't want to share the profit. But anyways, that's a big discussion. That's another discussion, that how to bring these brokers into the system or keep them out of the system. That they also need to have some alternative earning sources as well. Thank you, both of you, for sharing all your thoughts and whatever you're doing to have legal and ethical migration. And that's really important for us. Thank you, Mr. Saleh, and thanks you, Mr. Jogri. দর্শক, আমরা কথা বলছিলাম, আমাদের এই কথা চলতেই থাকবে। আজকে সারাদিন আমরা এই বিষয়ে কথা বলবো, অভিবাসন এবং নৈতিক নিয়োগ নিয়ে। কারণ আপনি যদি নিরাপদে এবং আপনার সকল কাজের শর্ত জেনে বিদেশ যান এবং আপনার যদি দক্ষতা থাকে, তবেই আপনি বাংলাদেশের জন্য কাজ করতে পারবেন, এবং বাংলাদেশের জন্য তখন আপনি একজন গুরুত্বপূর্ণ উন্নয়নের অংশীদার হবেন। সেটা আপনার জানা জরুরি। নইলে আপনি যদি আপনার নিয়োগকর্তার নিয়োগপত্রের বিস্তারিত না জানেন, তাহলে আপনাকে যে কোনোভাবেই অ্যাবিউজ করা যেতে পারে, অর্থাৎ যে কোনো কাজে আপনি অব্যবহৃত হতে পারেন এবং আপনি কষ্ট পেতে পারেন। আপনি যে লোন করে, ঋণ করে দেশের বাইরে যাবেন, সে টাকাটা হয়তো বা আর নাও হতে পারে। এই সব কিছু আপনাকে মাথায় রাখতে হবে, আর এই জন্য জানতে হবে যে কিভাবে নৈতিক নিয়োগ হয়, এবং তখনই অভিবাসন একটি গুরুত্বপূর্ণ সেক্টর হয়ে উঠবে বাংলাদেশের জন্য। ইতিমধ্যেই হয়েছে এবং লাভজনক হয়ে উঠবে। দেখা হবে পরবর্তী আওয়ারগুলোতে।